The powers that are hidden behind the veil are haunting us. And after making a beautiful video, I was censored. Machines that are always trying to pick up on words we say here on this platform or anyone else, anywhere else, they try to detect what a machine deems as hate speech. Whereas whatever we do here is love speech. We are always focusing on love, on light, on friendship, on acceptance. So I'm going to talk about something, avoiding to use the word that triggered the censorship before. So I am not a far right loony nor an anti anything. Well, yeah, I'm anti hate, of course, but I am not a conspiracy theorist per se. Yet, I'm going to try a new approach, which is we're going to talk about those men who have discovered that they are women. So we're going to label them as tea women, right? Not the drink, not women who love to drink tea, but tea, like the music we love hearing in Ibiza and the summer nights, which takes us into an ecstatic place. And it's very electronic, and it's like entering into a trance, Well, that's the tea and what it stands for. So after seeing my beautiful video deleted, I said, I'm not going to give up. Let's continue the fight because love needs us. Love needs a positive discourse. And here in my workshop, and as the perfumer's apprentice, we always concoct love potions, tolerance potions, everything that has to do with the world we want to see. Yet, we have to experience the world we are given at the moment. So, in this world, if you accept yourself, that's a bit of heaven. That's where a paradise begins, in self-acceptance, no matter who you are, what you are, or how you describe yourself. Whereas hell begins in the others. Like that philosopher said once as he was finishing his espresso. I don't know how it is in English, but the essence is hell is the other. The others are hell. He thought that whilst supporting a very murderous revolution in China, while he was perfectly comfortable in a very fancy cafe in Paris. Okay? But let's take what's useful. Heaven begins in our acceptance of ourselves, and hell appears when we expect others to accept us. Okay, if you're 3 years old, or 5 or 10, that has some sand, but not when you are an adult. Because wanting to be valued by someone who doesn't know the true value of your own inner gold is pointless. So we are pro self-acceptance and self-determination. You can, if you feel you're a horse, be a horse, of course. Eat grass, jump, run, derbies. Or if you were born a man or a woman and you feel you are a woman or a man, that's great. The problem comes with forcing that acceptance as well, and not understanding the limits of both nature and how we are perceived by others, especially the other who we want to embody or we want to represent. So if it's out of admiration, naturally you would go to that group, be that an ethnic group or gender, and you would want to be kind to them, humble, and getting to know them from within and trying to build a communication with them. Because, let's be honest, unless you're Kevin Costner or Daniel Day-Lewis in a movie, You want to be accepted very quickly by a tribe. Let's take the Shuar tribe, that tribe in the Amazon who shrink the head of their enemies, right? As a white, or perhaps as any other type of human being, you won't be easily accepted. You'll have some rights to go through, some conditions to fulfill, right? The same with religions, etc. Because it comes from a place of humility. I admire you and I want to be with you and like you. So that's where it begins. But it's not something we see in our daily lives, because tea women sometimes embody the best and the worst of the what we, for purposes of description, the masculine energy. We see how women suffer that invasion of their own sacred spaces by tea women, which is silly, because if I were one, I would want to communicate properly and understand why they feel in certain ways. For instance, if I'm a tea woman and I want to be part of a community with women who suffer polycystic syndromes, right? I'm going to be understanding that perhaps they might not want me there just basically because I don't have ovaries and I cannot have that issue. So if I want to impose that on them, it's not going to go down well, except you are on Reddit, where all the moderators are in your favor and they're going to ban those sacred spaces for women who suffer real things, organic things, right? So it's about context and understanding. You wouldn't go to the Catholic Church because you want to be a Catholic and then say, "What's that motherfucking doing on the cross? Wasn't he the son of God? Didn't he know he was going to be murdered? He's a motherfucker." Okay, you're not going to start like that. Or why is the Pope with surrounded by so much gold? Or why are there so many priests still abusing kids? That's not a good way to start your adventure in that group if you want to be part of it. You might do that later, but in the acceptance period, you have to be gracious and humble. So I thought of this idea of rites, of initiation within a tribe or whatever it is. And I thought women. But why women first, right? There are many reasons. One is because tea women are much more troublesome than tea men. Because tea men, they understand, they have as well the best qualities of the feminine, so we call it in a way that is understandable, and the worst as well. But let's be honest, women rule. I mean, women are much better in many, many ways than men. Not only sexually, their capacity for pleasure, etc., but in other ways as well. They are not as invasive, as conquering, as overbearing, and as bullying as the masculine energy. So that's why we focus first on tea women and women in general. Also, if we see it from a racial perspective, because nothing happens in a vacuum, we're recording this from what was once the epitome of white supremacy, of colonialism. So from Columbus till the present day, from the white perspective, we can say that the black race has been the oppressed, hence the women of race. So my proposition is, okay, women are the blacks of gender. They've been oppressed by men for 5 years. No, more. I know. 5 eons or so. So I was thinking, okay, what can I add to this equation? And I thought, well, why not create, this is an idea I'm throwing there. If you're a TV producer, you can use it. You can sell it to Netflix, to Amazon Prime, to Disney Plus. But the idea would be like this. Women pick through voting, through democratic process, the best of the best from all the countries, from all the cultures. So they create a United Nations of women, let's say. No politicians, no disgusting women, because there are, of course. And what's the purpose of this? They would create a system, a ritual, an initiation for T women to become full women. They would be granted a passport, immunity for them against hatred, against bias, against bigoted attacks. They would be one of them, right? It's like a tribal thing. You go through these tests and you become 100% woman, free from any kind of discrimination. Okay, so let's begin. The first test would be because it's like, okay, you're a T woman, you want to be, you essentially you admire women. You want, I mean, that's what you strive for. That's your aspiration, okay? So, first things first. A lot of women have been abused, sexually, physically, emotionally, you name it, right? And more so since Sigmund Freud, the famous psychologist, psychiatrist, dismissed all these reports from feminine patients he had of violence, sexual violence. He thought they were making it up. They were projecting and creating fantasies, whereas they were being abused. So Sigmund Freud, fuck you wherever you are. I hope you're in hell being abused by a lot of demons and making you watch demons abuse your feminine self as well. But let's come back to the story. So because a lot of women have been abused, yes, more women have been abused than not in the present day. So these T women would have to go through, let's say if you're generous, a year, and if you want to be more demanding, 5 or 10 years of at least having to endure 1 or 3 sexual assaults per year, right? That's earning your woman badge. Could be emotional, that's optional, but sexual for sure. Grabbing, rubbing penises on the train, on the bus, you name it. That's the first task, let's say. I like it. I like it as a game show. Netflix showing this, the inner lives of T women going through these trials and tribulations. The second challenge that I thought of could be what's very, very feminine and that you can only suffer if you have the whole reproductive system, the period, menstruation. Okay, so in this game, in these tests, the T women in question would have to suffer something similar to menstruation. How would you say? Again, one year if we're being generous, and 5 or 10 years if we're being ruthless. But how can they suffer menstruation, Radamés, if they don't have the apparatus to produce such a waste? Okay, here are my suggestions. The first one involves someone kicking them in the balls, provided they still have them, right? That's optional. If they have them, someone kicking them in the balls during 4 or 7 days, once a month, roughly once 28 days or so. Someone would go to their homes, kick them in the nuts every hour to create this sensation of menstrual pain, right? If the kicks are strong enough to produce some blood in the urine, that creates the illusion of menstruation, that they gets them brownie points. If they don't have testicles, through removal or accident, we can resort to my second suggestion, which is, besides getting a new beard, because this is busting my balls, the second suggestion would be to have them again, same period of time, every 20 odd days, for 4 or 7 days, a massive diarrhea, induced by laxatives or a lot of garlic or whatever trigger foods they have, in order to create this illusion. Okay, they don't have a vagina, they might have a surgical one, but let's say the ass is the natural one. So we create this cascade of diarrhea through their assholes for 7 days, and that creates an illusion of a sort of a menstruation. Also, the cramps, the bowel movements, and all the chaos would add a layer of pain that can resemble the menstrual cramps, right? Yet we can make it more complex. We can use a tampon throughout those days to stop in a futile manner, because the tide of brown excrement would just destroy anything that you put in its course. But it's again adds to the role play of having a period, right? Also, feminine towels as well, and ideally, you would want to have that tea woman invited to a pool party in those days, so she can say and understand the suffering. No, I cannot jump in the pool. I have my period. Oh, okay. I respect that. Please don't make my pool a mess of shit, right? I don't want to see excrements. I don't want to see my swimming pool turn brown. Again, for the effects of illusion and accuracy, if during that diarrhea period the tea in question ingests some peppery or cayenne-like foods, we can create some hemorrhoids, and that hopefully has some blood within the cascade of shit and excrement, adding thus the illusion of having a period, right? Those are my ideas. I mean, as a man, I would never tell the United Nations of women what to pick, if it's morally acceptable or not. I just give them to you. Do whatever you want. And a final reflection, I was thinking, in order to create sort of this more open-minded and progressive outlook in the current culture, we can take some literary classics, right, and adapt them to the current times. So, following this idea, why not have Dracula, instead of chasing virgin-esque women, girls, let's say, always, I think, in a legal age, why not have Dracula chase tea women, right? Chasing tea women, but instead, here's a twist. Instead of having him bite their necks impatiently, because in the case of girls, he could wait perfectly for that time of the month and have like all you can eat blood, right? For 7 days, open tab. I mean, have a feast, Dracula. But no, he was impatient. But in this case, why not have Dracula become like a sort of I don't know the technical name of those who like to eat shit, literally, but I think it exists. Coprophile. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but why not have Dracula be a creep, a shit creep, and during those menstrual periods have him hunt tea women looking for that diarrhea, right? It's a beautiful idea. I hope you're not eating whilst watching this, because you are going to hate me even more. Thank you for watching. And again, we are all for love, all for acceptance, harmony, open-mindedness, and most of all, an open heart for you. Thank you.